Hello. What's up, everyone? Just thought I'd jump on a little bit ahead of time. First things first, remember we're on a 60-second delay. That is to comply with fair play rules. We're playing the Levitov Chess Wizards, a strong Russian team full of all grandmasters, all GMs on the lineup. Both of the women on the lineup are grandmasters themselves, and the one that's going to be playing in today's match is Alexandra Kostenyuk. We have some commands for more information if you guys want to use them in chat. !roster will let you know who's playing for both teams. !score. I'll try to keep updated during the match with the live score. Of course, the title will also reflect the score as well. And !format will also tell you exactly what's going down here today and what you can expect in terms of that. So I'm just gonna see if we can get our cams up here for everybody. We got everyone in the call. Good sign. How's everybody feeling this morning? We feeling the win? Chess Wizards are a very strong team. We decided to bring Jordan in, who hasn't played a match for us thus far. And let me get these cams up for us here. All right, we got Jordan, Magnus, Miley, Razvan, all in the call right now. And you can see with !roster who they're up against. Here we go. There we go. Did we bench Magnus? No, we have with Magnus in the lineup. Do you have to use all the players on the roster? The answer is no. And the first game is underway. The first game is underway. Let's make those cams a little bigger, hey? Let's make him a little bigger. Magnus's game has started. Jordan is up there. We'll get the last two cams up and running for us here. Here we go. Let's flip that board. So we're looking at it from Magnus's POV. Oh, looks like Jordan is joining in and out here. Okay, where's our Magnus cam? Jordan, quit that joining, boy. Trying to get Magnus on the screen here, don't you know? right. Here we go. We've returned him. Let's bring the rest of the players in. We got my Lee and Razvan. The last two boards. All right, here we go. There we go. And last but not least, board 4. Boy, it would be helpful if I could get these cams at a time. But we'll make do. I think we got everyone here now. Let me go grab the rest of these games. All right. We got them all now. There we go. So, Magnus with the black pieces. What the heck's going on here? He's played this opening a great deal, especially in the World Championship match between himself and Fabi, I believe it was. Knight f6, knight d7, and a quick bishop h6 by Kosteniuk. Remember, Kosteniuk is the board 4 for the Wizards. I mean, Kosteniuk against Magnus, anything can happen. This is not like a walk in the park board 1 versus board 4 matchup that sometimes you do get with certain lineups. Okay, Magnus has maybe a little bit of play here. I almost want to say white might go a4. There's pressure on this pawn. Pressure on this pawn here, but you know, you can't really use the d5 square as white. I say that, but I'm actually looking at this move. It's not really an amazing move or anything, but it's funny because it looks like it might be playable. But of course, I don't think we'll see that. Black can always just move the queen if necessary. I'm trying to say maybe the bishop would be trapped there, but yeah, that's not necessary. Magnus wants to go f6. And hey, he's got a position. Maybe knight into d4 after that. Looks very closed. A lot of maneuvering here, so we'll leave this one for now. A lot of the other games are underway. Our board 1 and board 2 have the black pieces to start off. This looks like a Ragozin. Bishop b4. And even though it looks like this pawn is hanging, there's a pin there. And he's kept the bishop pair with bishop back to d6, but hey, bishop pair right now means bishop on c8 is being counted as one of those pieces. And it does not look too impressive. I want to say f5 might be a consideration for black here. f5 and knight f6. Is that completely insane? I don't know. f5, the only thing about f5 is that it's hard to move the knight next because then maybe you allow knight e5, but I still feel like f5 is is a reasonable move. So I was thinking f5. He goes rook b, wants to defend the pawn. There may also be an idea to play b5 next. Not that crazy, actually. But it's nice to have that defended so the bishop can move. White, on the other hand, just has a pretty good-looking normal position. Rook e1, rook d1. At some point, e4 will be played. Maybe white wants to play queen c2 as well. Although I think if queen c2, we will see f5. Maybe he just wants knight f6, but I swear f5 is a decent idea here. Okay, let's check out this game. It's Razvan, who has played many weeks for us before in the Pro Chess League. He's got the white pieces against Alexander Shimanov. And I would not be surprised if one, if not both of these players have potentially seen this position in some of their preparation. You don't see the triple pawns too often, do you? And this is a very intentional decision by Razvan. I know it looks weird, but honestly, the stronger you get as a player, the more you understand a lot of times that d takes c5 is actually quite frustrating for black. Even though it looks like exactly what black's trying to get you to do, these positions can be very tolerable. However, it's no secret that these pawns are weaknesses. Absolutely. White's going to try to say, look, I've got an extra pawn, got the two bishops, control the dark squares. But black is saying, look, if I can trade light squared bishops here, plus we have nice squares for the knights to jump in, then the position starts to look good, especially in an endgame for black. So we'll see how this one develops, but very testy opening, right? This is both sides have chances rather in this one. Takes, king d2, I think, something like that. Also, of course, now that I'm showing the arrows, I realize knight takes g5 is the intention. An absolute disaster would be a move like this. You just never want to allow e6. Like, that's off the table. So Razvan's game has chances for both sides. Jordan's game is super imbalanced as well. Remember, that was the game with two bishops for Jordan. And let's take a look at that final board for Miley against Ralph Mamedov. This is our board 4 against the Wizards board 1. I like Miley's position. Of course, she's ready for h takes g5. That would be fantastic for white, just winning in fact. But she's playing a board 1 who's obviously going to take some risks, right? I think in general, you guys know the strategy that a lot of board 1 players take against significantly weaker board 4s is they want to get out of theory and just play quickly. And that's exactly what Mamedov has done. He's a really, really fast blitz player. Miley is going to have the clock up against her every single game this match, I can tell you that. But she may get some chances on the board. Like, for example, right here, her position is not bad at all, right? She's immediately looking at this, I suspect. So all 4 boards in progress. Let's jump back to Magnus's, which should have the most progress so far. Takes is an interesting decision because it allows Magnus to take back this way. I'm not so sure about that. Offering a trade because remember that knight gets into c5 and the endgames look lost. Ooh, a lot of moves for Alexander's queen here. Here. Yeah, that's not a good sign. Knight g4, though, wasn't in... I think that was the move. That's why Magnus didn't play knight c5 and played h5 instead. And then c5, definitely sacking a pawn there. Very intentional by Kostenyuk. But you can't sugarcoat this. This is a clean 1-pawn advantage right now for Magnus. And knight e5, a4, the first couple moves that come to mind. I suppose knight b6 as well, but you have to be careful. You don't want to just trade everything, wind up in a position with queens and rooks that might not be winning. Hello to Hanson Eric in the chat, supporting the team from afar. a4, so rook takes, and then I want to say pawn takes, knight c5 maybe, threatening knight b3, and rook takes, perhaps the same, will be initiated. I think we're going to get this line. Probably with rook takes, if I had to guess. I think Benjamin is looking for Chessbrahs stick. A classic emote. So Magnus's chances look great. He's up a pawn. 2 minutes and a half ticking down or so for Kostenyuk. Let's see what Jordan has done with the position. It looks like he's been making good progress. I like this a lot. This pawn structure is great. Blunts that bishop on b1. And he's just got an open line here. That pawn is protected. Bishop's getting out. Bishop a2 played. He's dying to trade this off, but for black, I think a common maneuver is knight f8 to e6. That always feels good. Hitting the pawn on d4, c5, jumping into f4. Of course, the only downside is that pawn on c6, so you have to watch out for that. Rook a8. Getting the queen to go back. If you take and the knight takes back, there is knight b4 that happens next. You have to be quite careful. We might see, I was almost going to say bishop a5 to stop this, but perhaps after knight b4 we have bishop a5 anyway. Rook takes f3. Don't forget about that move. Jordan might be switching from queen side to king side attack in one fell swoop here. Rook a8 incoming. That allows that knight maneuver to happen. Rook takes f3 is a very, very Jordan move that he'll be considering there. So match started just now. This is round 1. You haven't missed anything in case you just joined. Chessbrahs are playing the Levitov Chess Wizards. Should be a very, very contested match. King g7, bishop f4 ideas. I think he's still eyeballing this. I really do. I'm not sure how well it works out because, you know, white's king does get to go there, but it feels very much like a good blitz move and very much in Jordan's style to play it. Let's jump over to Miley's game because she's got less than a minute, which I absolutely could have predicted. Miley is going to be facing time trouble in most of her games. Okay, so that rook is sort of trapped on b2 effectively, but it's difficult to attack as well without giving up a lot in the center. Takes here, knight h7, there's g6. Keep that in mind. But if white ever has to take this, then the knight is kind of just hanging. So I'm even looking at moves like that. Like, is bishop h7 possible? It's kind of strange. That queen wants to maybe return to the center. Long castling doesn't trap the rook because if rook takes f2. Don't forget. Knight d1 or knight a4 will win the rook. But black is ready to sack the exchange here and maybe take something in the center. So Miley with Only a minute on her clock to 6 minutes, and a 26.50 sitting across the table from her. Has her work cut out for her. Hey, Johnny DJ. Vegas for climbing. Got Chessbrahs on in the car. Love to see it, buddy. Go, Johnny. Now, G6, Bishop F6. I can only assume is the intention, and this looks dangerous. It really does, because first of all, if you take, this bishop takes check. So I don't think there's any doubt you have to play a move like this. Yeah. Plays it, and then takes. Here, rook b1, bishop back to d1. Queen f6 and takes. Is it that simple? Queen f6 hits this. Because then you're basically saying in... And yeah, this move looks essentially forced. Then you're essentially saying in positions like this, white needs to play like knight d1, which looks very weird. Playable, but weird. Does not surprise me that Miley might be losing this position. It looks like a really tough start. You can't take this because of this rook. I think Miley is gonna be losing this first game. If you take, there's still some trickery to be had here. Probably. So I think black's just gonna take on g6 and be up that piece. We'll leave this for now. It looks like with 15 seconds and having just lost the pawn, you're not going to get your piece back as white. I think this is pretty done. I mentioned that knight wanted to get to e6. I think white has done a good job defending the pawn, though. Would not be surprised to see this one go for a draw. Magnus officially has won his game. He looked to be in a fantastic position the last time we saw. We'll check exactly what happened after the game, but Magnus has won. I think Miley is going to lose. That game looked equal. Let's check this game, because this game's going to be the decider of the round, it looked like. Very important one between Razvan and Shimanov. I mean, those pawns barreling down the board. Gotta see bishop f4 there. Good move. You don't want your bishops trapped in on h2 there. Now, what can white do offensively? That's what I'm wondering. Because black's plan looks, unfortunately, too easy. It's kind of bothersome. Like, are we taking, going rook f3? This queen on a3, a little bit offside. But at one moment or another, it can play queen e7, get right back into the action. I don't think taking and going here is that crazy. I feel like I'd be more concerned playing f3, because guess what? h3 is happening anyway. So official, board 1 has beaten board 4 in both matchups. So it's 1-1 right now. And Jordan's game does look very drawish. Or I shouldn't say drawish, but equal. Lots can still happen. But it does look equal. This game, we knew from the start, French defense, it was going to be wild. I think we definitely knew that this game was going to be the one to look at. This should decide the first round here. But there's 4 rounds. Everybody on each team plays everybody on each team. Nice and simple. And if we see something like pawn takes, the rook takes on f2, and okay, it's guarding the bishop and the pawn there. Oh, Magnus, it looks like, may have dropped out of the call. That's annoying. Not gonna lie. Okay, well, let's just take those cams off for now. I tell you, it's tough to get a Zoom call to work these days. That's the absolute truth. If you win your game, you can do whatever the hell you want. Magnus has only lost a single game in the Pro Chess League. You want to leave the Zoom call? See you, bud. I'll get the door on your way out. Queen f8, hitting the bishop very clearly. I think if you move the bishop, I was gonna say, I think you're asking for trouble. Like, how does this not crush or something? You know? How is this not GG? When the bishop was there, I thought we'd have to see takes and rook f3 at that point. Amazing. All right, f4. So here comes h3. I just don't know what the answer is to h-file pressure here. I'll be impressed to find out. Because this just looks tough to defend, right? Probably knight. Yeah, probably knight takes, I guess, is the safest. Black wants to probably put the queen here and then take. Because if you take first... Actually, I was going to say, never mind. If you take first, I was thinking of queen here and here. But of course, you start with the rook check. So, very tricky. I think... Okay, bishop takes. Maybe there's rook h1, but I mean g2 and queen g3 is sufficient. I think he wants to play bishop here. To try for that. Yeah, the thing is, white is threatening 0 here. So, yeah, I think this is essentially just mate. That is just mate, and we go to the other game to find out some pleasant news that Jordan has actually won his game from what I thought was, you know, an equal-ish position. Jordan has won, which means we're at 2-2. That's, I think that's pretty good news considering everything that we saw in this round. Let me update the scores here. We can check out some of the action that we missed. But it's 2-2. Everybody, all games were decisive. And if I'm not mistaken, the black pieces won every single game this round. Every single game. A 2-2. We'll definitely take that. All right, all right. Let's see what happened here in these games. So Magnus's game, I think we had it. Yeah, we were following this game pretty closely, so we caught most of the action, but we didn't see the conversion, which was the final phase. Yeah, I mean, Alexandra is blundering pawns here, but she's doing it on purpose because she needs to do something aggressive. Yeah, and queen takes here. Magnus really makes the technique look easy. Basically has to deal with one check and that's it. Knight f2 is checkmate, and pretty simple, honestly, when you're watching Magnus play. Magnus wins with black, board 4 against board 1, but we saw most of this game. I want to check out Jordan's game, which we actually did not see the majority of that endgame. So let's see what the heck he did. We saw this. We saw some rook trades. They traded rooks again, and we essentially saw this position. And I think black is a bit better, but I didn't think that it would be so convincing. Let's see how Jordan converted this. Okay, so very simple. Pressure on d4. Trying to play g4, it looks like. Okay, well, all that's great news. Takes the f3 square. Takes the h6 square from white's queen. The technique is impressing right now. He's kind of giving up that pawn, it looks like, to maybe have e4 check. And white didn't want to give, you know, if you move the queen away, queen e4 check looks pretty difficult to meet. And it looks like you're going to lose this pawn, but Jordan says, whatever. I'm pushing this d pawn. Oh my goodness. Jordan, you sneaky guy. He takes on c5, and this is... I think Jordan has done a tremendous job pushing this. I'm not sure if it's going to be a win here. He's done all you can, and look at that. He just gets a stone-cold one-move piece blunder by his opponent. Huge mistake. That's just a one-mover. I didn't realize it was like that. But you got to give Jordan some credit. Only so much you can do against the GM with the black pieces. But he pushed and pushed. Maybe wasn't winning officially on the board at the end, but nice tricky sequence there by Jordan. Plays bishop d2, and yeah, his opponent just walked into this. But he was under pressure, so credit to Jordan for putting the pressure on. That's a nice start for Jordan, who's playing on board 2 for us. He's played for the Canada Chessbrahs before in the Pro Chess League. And he's a good friend and very strong player. As you guys may know, he worked for Magnus as a second in the World Championship match. So he's got a lot of experience. And then this game, we actually saw most of this game. So there's not much to check here. I think this is just, generally speaking, it's tough to deal with an attack. 2 rooks, 2 pawns. The lines are going to open up. I wasn't sure about this, but I did get the feeling that maybe takes and rook f3 was like one attempt, but I don't even believe in myself here. Like, black is just going to bring the king over. Or sorry, bring the queen over. So, I don't know. This was an extremely tough position, and it simply doesn't surprise me that white lost this. Like, all things considered, how are you going to defend this, right? How are you going to defend this? So this game looked tough from the start. My Lee's game, we also looked at sort of a classic, like, higher rated player situation in My Lee's game, where, you know, she got really low on the clock. Opponent wasn't playing like a top theory opening or anything, just kind of getting the position messy and playing super quick. And this messy position with, you know, 7 minutes to 1 minute is always going to favor, of course, the higher rated player, but also the guy with the time advantage. Exclamation mark roster lets you know who's playing today. It's 2-2. Essentially, the round went as you may have predicted on paper, right? Where you say, okay, the board 1 and 2 win, and boards 3 and 4 lose for both sides. Let's see if... I don't think we have the next round starting yet. But it should be around the corner. Now, if I'm thinking about our lineup and, you know, where we are going to be scoring points, I definitely think that, you know, Razvan and Miley getting a point would be obviously tremendous. She's against GMs. Getting half a point would be tremendous. She's 2,200, playing nearly 2,600s, 2,550s every single round. So her getting a half point, That's already a big asset. But obviously, when we put a lineup like this forward, Jordan and Magnus are here to score, and they've done that so far. But Miley, if I recall, last match, she actually had a really bad game one. Do you guys remember that? She played Sam Sevian. I was a little bit critical of her opening there. It was a King's Indian. She gave up her Dark Squared Bishop. I didn't like it. But immediately, she turned it around, started playing some great chess after that. I'll give her some time to warm up. 2-2 right now. It's a tied match. Games will start in 1 minute. And let's see if we can bring the cams back up here. Looks like Magnus is back in. Two. We're going into round 2. Thanks for passing the collection plate around. Everybody put $1 in for your Chessbrah. Thank you to Duke Nukem, Jumpy Chess, Chelsea Morgana, Freddie Patzer, Chicken Pants, Dr. Lord Mayonnaise, Curious Chimpanzee, Kinda Young Dave, Darkbone, Chicken Pants. Thanks for putting some money in the plate. The Church of Chessbrah. Askena started things off, let's not forget, with her own 100 bits. Thanks to Visas for the 6-month prime. Big Chesticles, 25 months. Anonymous gifting a sub. Land Beyond for 20 months. Handlebar Society, 18 months with prime. Shoto for 27 months. Johahi, 43 months with prime. 2-toed profit. No, 3-toed profit. Too many toes. Thanks for the prime. 15 months. Pewterella, 25-month resub in Milan, gifting a sub. Appreciate you guys. All right, it'd be nice if this round would pop up here. There we go. Jordan's wondering where his game is, but I'm not sure he knows that the games are staggered. They don't all start at the same time. So when you hear, hey, games start at this time, it's usually the board ones that start first. Magnus is eating, I believe. Eating the competition. The mid-game snack. That looks similar to the meal that Dill cooked me yesterday. Go, Blonde Maestro 69. Did Big Dill get a meal delivered to Magnus in there? Go, Dill. I couldn't tell if his opponent was his opponent a minute late or something there? Magnus played d4, and it felt like his opponent didn't move till 9 minutes and something. And I really got the feeling that Magnus was waiting until his time was equal to his opponent's. Once again, we've seen that so often from Magnus. While eating his food. And I believe that was the case. Let's pull up the rest of the games here. Ooh, Ralph Mamedov, such an experienced blitz player. He has these tricky sort of side. I want to say sidelines, but just systems. You know, just chill systems. He's basically playing the King's Indian for white here against Razvan. Jordan is playing Kosteniuk. And boy, does this look like a, typical... This looks like habits. You kidding me right now? Jordan and Kostania. Big habits players. I mean, 2 sets of double pawns. The principles of chess tell us this is supposed to be kind of okay for white, right? I can't blame him. He goes right for it. And is that board 4 matchup underway? It is. Miley with the black pieces. This is certainly going to be a tough one. She's against Shimanov. But she's starting the match by playing the boards 1 and 2 from the opponents. So it's always tough on board 4. Okay, Jordan having a think here. We've got this imbalanced game for Jordan, who's got the white pieces now. Magnus has got sort of a Queen's Gambit declined looking type of position. These are always, I'm always wondering how you play these for a win as white. Always impresses me to find out. And H4 and King F1. I'm really noting this. And I say that actually unironically. Really noting King F1 and H4. Because I tell you, in this position, boy, I'd be castling and playing H3. 2 beta moves. Magnus shows H4 and King F1. The notepad is out. The notepad is firmly out. As for this board here, Rook E8. The thing about these positions is, look, the engine always likes black's position. Truly. The same way the engine always likes white's position when they're playing against the King's Indian. Bishop takes, and E4 is an idea, even Queen D7. You can also go Bishop E6, Queen D7, but just saying that usually the engine gives a nice edge to the side playing against the King's Indian setup, which is just typical. Bishop D2. Maybe Bishop E6. I mean, this is sort of the easy move to play. Bishop E6, Queen here. Ralph Mamedov, by the way, and this goes for a lot of the Azeri Grandmasters, so quick. I think you'll notice that he kind of plays like Jan Nepomniachtchi. Just every single time he's playing a game, you feel like he's blitzing. More than blitzing, like bulleting the moves. So I expect Mamedov to have a time advantage against nearly everybody in this match. But he does take risky positions. He doesn't always play the best move as a result of his style. It's a really good blitz style. So generally with Mamedov, you have to punish inaccurate moves and take your chances on the board because you're probably not going to be playing faster than him. I'll say that. Let's look at my Lee's game. Now, white's just got a positional edge here, right? Started by playing e5, which is pretty much part of the established theory in this opening. Let's flip to Miley's perspective. Takes, we've castled. F6, black wants to play e5. Yes, this pawn is just a clear weakness on c5. But 2 bishops for black. Nice claim to the center here. Maybe the knight coming into d4. If white wants to play c3, rook d1, you know, bishop e3, go ahead. This pawn is tough to attack with multiple pieces. So white's gone for the positional approach, long-term edge. But Miley has got the 2 bishops and lots of options in the middle game here. I think this is next. Bishop e6, maybe rook e8, queen d7, and then of course you've always got knight d4 in the wings. So I kind of like Miley's position. It's not usually my style to have pawns like that, but I know that it's playable. Knight d2, knight e4 is most likely White's plan, or knight d2, knight b3. That's usually what happens. So you got to figure out a way to take care of this pawn, because what's going to happen is you're going to play knight there, and if knight d4, probably move the queen and get ready to play c3. Now, you can play knight d4, knight e6 to watch the pawn, but then you're kind of taking the square from your bishop. So some decisions to make for Miley, but she's got a bit of an edge on the clock here. Bishop e6 looks fine to me. Good looking move. Knight d4 is always coming in next. Let's jump to Magnus's game just for a sec. Wow. King g7 and immediately e4. Rook e8, h5. This is extremely direct. This is extremely direct, because you're kind of saying if you ever play knight f6 to try to get your knight to d5, there's probably bishop e5 as a reaction. Whoa. Bishop f6, bishop takes h6. Magnus just uncorked like a howitzer. Bishop takes h6. Well, guess what? Rook takes, queen takes, king takes h6, takes on g6 check. I'm following so far. Rook h7 takes, you take on e8 and take the knight, right? And if king g8, there's all sorts of bad moves incoming. Rook h7 takes and takes. I mean, this is some nasty stuff we're seeing here. Magnus just, I mean, he's completely winning from, I would say, like a totally innocuous opening. e4. I look at this move and I'm concerned for my isolated pawn. Magnus has just gone h4, played e4, h5, and look how goddamn simple it looks. He's completely winning. He's having a think here. He's got 6.5 minutes to find the crush. But, I mean, he's already done the hard work. I'm very impressed by this game. Very impressed by this game. Looked completely equal, but he's absolutely blown Denis Lazovic off the board here. Totally sick. All right, we're going to go to board 2. Jordan against Kosteniuk. A slightly tamer affair. Black's pawns are, you know, not the best here. Truly. The knights are being kept out of the important squares. So I think Jordan, I think his position is becoming extremely good. Queen h5, knight g4. Love the gameplay from Jordan in the match thus far. Yeah, I still can't get over that Magnus game. That is just nasty. Meanwhile, in this game, you know, that rook can never leave because of the pressure on the a6 pawn. This rook, I mean, are you trying to play rook h7? We'll see. Queen here, knight g4 is still an idea. Definitely enjoying Jordan's play thus far. Also seeing a time advantage here for Jordan. Rook on the A file looks very nice. There is some pressure on d3, so, you know, queen h5, you can't just go play, right? You have to be sure about that one. Rook d1 to guard the pawn, perhaps, but it feels like there's something kind of direct here. Not sure exactly what we might be looking for. Rook takes d3. If knight g4 there, queen g7. Man, I'm really thinking about... ooh. Careful now. Careful now. This king probably has to vacate the premises. Knight f4. But it's so telegraphed. I think Jordan is going to realize, okay, maybe queen h5 was actually not the best move. Pretty nice response there by Kosteniuk. I didn't even notice that either. Magnus. Is he putting the finishing touches on this game? It appears like he's done a good job. Pawn's hanging. It might get to a rook endgame, though. That's never super comfortable. If you can keep the minor pieces on, it would be better. But Magnus has got 6 minutes to 2. You have to feel he has this under control. Let's jump to the rest of the, I would say, more important games, because they seem to be more in the balance here. After a5, we see bishop takes and bishop takes a5. This is a very typical thing. It happens in the King's Indian all the time. The knight supporting the pawn, the bishop, knight, rook. So you take the knight and win a pawn. Now, white absolutely cannot trade bishops. Look at these dark squares over here. You take these bishops off the board, the black knights start to say hi. So he moves the bishop back. Now, black's up a full pawn. Of course, the engine's going to be going crazy here. But white has now lifted a rook over to h3. Probably going to play g5, and does. And once again, for the second game, Razvan is getting attacked. And boy, is that uncomfortable. That's just no fun. It's got me wondering, how are we going to even defend this attack? The knight on f5 is so strong. And if you open the h file, I mean, queen h5, right? Queen d7. Queen g4 is the first move I think of, because it also threatens knight h6, winning the queen. But Mamedov, up on time, appears to have a pretty nice position here. I am loving white's position, unfortunately. You're up a pawn as black, but you really can't feel that advantage until the endgame. And the endgame is some ways away. It really is. If you take, maybe you can take on f5 as well, but g6 is also an option. You definitely don't want to open things up here. And let's check out board 4, because there doesn't seem to be a lot of movement in that game. Okay, this is exactly how I thought this position might look, and I think this is fantastic for Miley. I like this. She's got the rooks where they need to be. That pawn is protected. For the moment, this move, which does appear to be dangerous in the long run, is handled because c2 is hanging. I think Miley's position is great. 3.5 minutes each, approximately. It's definitely clear here that white does not have a specific plan. Bishop takes h6, intending perhaps knight takes f6. Needs to be considered. And even if king h7, I'm wondering if that's still an idea, because if f4, there's knight c3. So actually, a bit of a devilish move there. Might have to do something like this. f5, more direct. Says, get the hell out of here. That pawn is going to be a lot weaker as a result. This is a typical position that you might expect from this opening. I think you have to be happy as Miley. You've got the position you want, but after knight c3, that pawn, that's the concern for me, is after bishop f2. I'm wondering what you do with this pawn. It looks like queen here, because he You might want to actually bring this bishop around to b2 or a3. Still, the plan is the same. Unleash pressure on the e5 pawn. And how can my Li protect it? And she is doing so with queen c7. Just a quick glimpse at Magnus's game. I think he's just won. Yeah, official. Magnus just won. What a nice game. We'll talk about this game after. I have too many good things to say. That game was exciting. What on earth is happening here? Takes, knight f4, rook takes, and h5. But h5 is going to unleash pressure on the black king. This cannot be right. It's looking good for Jordan, I have to say. Definitely feels correct here. Takes, king there. I mean, you could just take back on f5 and go here. Something like that. Because I'm not sure what black's next move is after pawn takes, you know? Oh, rook takes, yeah. I was thinking pawn takes because then you could still double up. The rook takes also just gets the rook out of the situation. Then you have f6 and queen e4 coming. Yeah, this feels pretty good here for Jordan. And guys, as usual, the final two boards, we're getting great results from our top two boards. I'm going to trust Jordan with this position. He's up a minute and a half as well. Once again, this is the board, along with my Li's board, where we can try to score some points. 30 seconds. Was there a knight on that square? Oh, there certainly was. Oh, and if you're not even taking it back, that's bad news, right? 30 seconds. Are we just down a piece here? I guess there's still some hanging stuff. I mean, what if white just kind of retreats the pieces? Now you're just down a full piece. My Li's game still looks like it has great chances. I imagine f6 has to get played here. I'm going to stick with this one because now that rook's actually trapped, so may as well stay with it. Here, I think we see h7 actually. Boy, he's tricky. Oh, I guess we take on h5 there. Takes on h5, h7. What a move. Probably this, but you're lost here. Let's be clear. You are lost as black. Jordan, I believe, is in the conversion stage of his game. Razvan loses to Mamedov. Magnus wins against Lazovic. We do have great chances on this board. I think Miley's been playing well. However, this is situation critical. Very important move right here. Truly, because bishop takes f4 is a threat. If you move the knight, knight takes c5 is a threat. The computer is going to sit there and say, hey, we like black's position, but I don't think it's that clear at all. I just know that Miley's been playing this game pretty well. Knight takes b3 certainly comes to mind. Over there on the queen side. Might be a little much, but you certainly think about it in moments like this. And as expected, both knight moves that were available seemed to blunder pawns. Truly. Right? Not that easy. Like, it's hard for me to sit here and recommend a move when we got things dropping left and right. I think it may have had to do with something like bishop to h4, knight f5, bishop h4, this kind of stuff. But instead, we see a rather compliant move, I think, after rook e5. Miley's still got chances. Absolutely. That pawn's protected. So is that pawn. But white is now definitely better. Definitely better. And Jordan's won his game. Jordan has won his game. So it's 2-1 in this round. Might be another 2-2 round. However, Miley has chances for half a point And hey, even a full point here. Bishop g6. Black's king is going to be safe, and there's opposite bishops present. Let's see what she can do. Oh, just realized the cams were off there. Means we'll take those out for now. Wow. Knight takes d4. Look at me not even paying attention to the potential in the position here. Takes. C1 is hanging. Mai Li, staying sharp. How can we do on this board 4 matchup here? She's got 12 seconds against a minute. A half point here, of course, would be huge. She had a tough first game, just like she did last week. Bishop f7. So, I mean, taking here is definitely the move you want to consider, but man, if that's not annoying, losing a pawn and allowing that queen endgame is going to be difficult. Instead, she guards the pawn, which makes sense. Everything's protected. But now white starts to dance around with the knight. And black doesn't really have that, you know? There's no queen e1. So the next move for Mai Li, g5, almost for sure. Because this needs to be threatened. If you don't threaten a check here, I don't know what you do. Knight c5, queen e3. Knight c3, perhaps there was knight b5. Mai Li had this move prepared. She's actually putting some real pressure on the opponent now. There's d4 coming. Hang on a sec. There's even g5? There's real chances here. Bishop here and d3. All of a sudden, I think white needs to be super careful. For example, that move is nasty. Exactly. Hang on just a second. White knows it. He's all of a sudden in a worse position here. Mai Li only needs to get that king into the action, and she knows it. Hang on. This one? I mean, you're keeping the king out. After this, of course, there's trickery afoot. Oof, there is trickery. That's a nasty move to miss. She might still be just fine here. Surprisingly. Just go and eat all those pawns. But that was a miss. Knight c4. She got tricked there. She just needed to move the king first. Take this and start running that. That's the only plan here, right? Oh my goodness, what a miss. G4. White needed to play king and take it. Mai Li slipped up there in the endgame. Still tricky. Mai Li, I'm so devastated for her. She's so goddamn good for board 4. She's taking these GMs and actually outplaying them. This is a heartbreaker, though. Actually a heartbreaker. Oh my goodness. It's so sad. I can't believe it. Man, she completely outplayed him there. For a win. For a win. I mean, it's tricky to... these cams are messed up again. It's tricky to queen the pawn because you're not sure about the calculation here. But you still have to just queen it. And whatever happens, happens. You know? Whatever happens, happens. You can't calculate that. We flag. in definitely winning position, but worst case scenario, you have to feel you're making a draw. That is so sad. There's pawns and pieces on the board. It's a loss. I mean, there's no words. That's so disappointing. It's so disappointing. Because this isn't the most clear, because you're like, oh, you know, there's stuff happening here. But you can't calculate it. If that's not winning for black, then what is, you know? Right? Like, you have to try it. You have to try it. But the flag comes in. Oh, man. That's unfortunate. Losing on time after an insanely well-played game. Because if Miley gets that 1 point for the team, you know, at any point in this match, I feel like she's done more than enough. Queen e3. I mean, this wasn't... I was thinking g5 and queen here. Maybe after knight c3, this would be the way to play. But after knight c5, she seizes the opportunity to trade and block the king from encroaching. Now, Miley should have won this game right here. I think a king move from black and then d3, and it's all over. So, certainly disappointing here because, you know, just falling for a basic fork. That sucks, but she picked herself right back up. Just took everything, and then after d2, white should go take this. Instead, a huge blunder allowing bishop f3. But then just flagging. Just not making a move in the final moments. This is a dagger. It really is. I hope the team, especially Miley, can focus in the next rounds because you have to pick yourself back up. But fuck's sakes, if that's not a dagger to the heart, I don't know what is. It's 4-4. Can update those scores. You feel like at this point it should be 5-3. What a close match, though. What a close match. But this is what happened the previous week as well. Miley gave everyone a good game. She had a bad first round, but she's able to give these GMs a run for their money. She's solid. This is the first time we've seen the time trouble really kick in. Not time trouble, I should say, because she's had it before. But actually just flagging. Just flagging. Magnus's game, so good. I mean, h4, king f1, and then to play e4 like this, h5, and bishop takes h6. I mean, he had this ready. Quite impressive. Ooh, it looks like rook a8 in view of rook h5 was actually perhaps not the best. But Magnus got it done anyway. Rook endgame style. Nasty. We saw most of that game. Jordan, I think we knew he was pretty much winning here. Yeah, and that king is not long for the word. If it could get in here, it would actually be completely safe. But not escaping. The knight has covering the escape square anyway. Oh, that's really a heartbreaker for Miley. Razvan just kind of got checkmated. We saw most of Razvan's game. Jordan and Magnus have played pretty clean games. And it's actually been boards 1 and 2 that have won every single game for both teams so far. Now, there's two ways to look at the results, and I'm gonna see. We have round 3 up. Looks like not yet. There's two ways to look at the results. Now, if you're looking at the results, you can say massive opportunity missed for my lead. There's no way around that. It really was. My lead winning that game would have been huge. 5-3 instead of 4-4. But my lead's also showing that she can hang with people 300 points above her. And she has 2 more chances. So we clearly have a board 1 and 2 that are playing quite well today. That's a good sign. The next couple of matchups will be more even in terms of the pairings. I'd rather have Miley on my team than their team, you know? That's the way I look at it. She got a point for us last week. I think she can do it again this week. She's showing that she can. But damn if that's not sitting in the back of my head, this result right here. I just hope it's not in the back of her head as well. She honestly looked pretty chill when the flag happened. Like, sort of internally processing. Kind of like probably what I would do. As opposed to the patented Hansen, mouse against wall clips. All right, we got to regroup. We're halfway through this match. It's tied 4-4 exactly. Rage Mage, thanks for the 10 months with Prime. Base Guy, 33, thanks for the 13. Map Rail with 10,000 bits. We couldn't quite get the round victory Map Rail, but I think Miley playing chess like that is a good sign going forward. There's still 2 more games for her to try to sneak half or at full point. VSim, thanks for the 42-month resub with Prime. Cheers, VSim, Smokahuntus, Chelsea Morgana, Slumpgate, Chicken Pants, and Ubitsia. Thanks for the $1 hollows. And Jumpy Chess, thanks for gifting us up to Dak. Appreciate it from you, Maprail. We're going to need some Chessbrahs round 3 energy. I think these rounds are incredibly important. That sounds obvious to say, but the reason I mention that is because guess what? Boards 1 and boards 2 have scored every single point for both teams this match. So now, finally, boards 3 and 4 will be putting points on the board for one team, and boards 1 and 2, one of the teams here will have their main contributors to the point totals potentially missing out on putting points on the board. So we'll finally see whose board 1 and 2 are in better shape today. And same with boards 3 and 4. Honestly, not a fit guy. You might be worried about Miley's confidence, but I'm actually encouraged by the fact that she didn't seem outwardly upset or tilted at the end of that game. Disappointed, sure, but just kind of internalizing things. Whereas if you see someone like actually on tilt, then you know their next game, they're probably going to be worried about it or still thinking about it. So I think she can put it. I think she can put it behind her. Hello, Omid. Hello, Kukulov. How long are the breaks between the games? I don't know exactly. Maybe 10 minutes. If I had to just guess. Wow, Magnus has the highest win percentage in the Pro Chess League. Surprise, surprise. Surprise, surprise. Let me see if we got these cams ready to go here. Looks like yes. Looks like yes. Here's the team. I think the rounds still haven't started yet. Captain Micmac, why do they not invite us to join the broadcast like they do to others? I think you can use your brain on this one. I'm here commentating. I ain't got time for that. I'm here with y'all. You're not going to catch me on the chess.com broadcast. Yeah, Hikaru lost his very first game in the Pro Chess League, and then he's won every game since. All right. Games are underway. Ralph Mamedov against Jordan van Vreest, and Jordan with the black pieces. Like I said earlier, Mamedov, he is a speedster. He is going to be playing quickly. He has his systems. Personally, I think Mamedov is an amazing value at 26.50 in these formats. I do. I like this setup for Jordan here. Should be flipping the board. There should be 7 castle kind of stuff. But these positions are notoriously around equal and played for a very, very long time. And you can already see that early time advantage for Mamedov. But Jordan, he's been playing with the 2 bishops today. And he's going to do it again. Okay, already I'm wondering... Very interesting opening choice here. So he plays d4, queen takes, and queen d3. I mean, guys, are we not offended? Where's the Mora? Just queen takes d4. This does not look like the most testing. I feel like Magnus's position is already kind of nice. We've got the knight kept out of those squares. Now, I feel like sometimes white goes knight g4 to play on the dark squares here with all the knights on the queen side. But I think if Magnus just gets to go like this, bishop b7, that he's extremely happy. But anyway, Magnus is a little bit down on the clock here. He's obviously thinking about how he wanted to proceed. Let's bring up these next boards. Razvan against Kosteniuk, such an important matchup. I mean, the imbalanced matchups that we witnessed in the first 4 rounds, those ones are 2-2. You know, board 1 and 2 beat board 3 and 4 everywhere, both teams. So it all comes down to these next 2 rounds. Basically, can we win the closer pairings? We have rating advantages on board 1 and 2, but rating disadvantages on boards 3 and 4. So any points that we steal on boards 3 and 4 are extremely valuable. And let's see here. Razvan actually playing a similar opening to Ivan Saric, if you remember. Saric was also going for this e4, g3 stuff. Okay, I think this makes enough sense. Usually white goes rook b1, knight e4, just trying to bother the pieces in this position. I mean, rook b1 stands out to me. We might just see rook b8 against that. And then the final game, Miley against Denis Lazovic. Denis Lazovic also hasn't had the best day. 2 losses so far. But obviously, he's a clear favorite here. Now, I'm not sure if it's in this position. But rook h4 is a move that I've seen before, and I think it may be theory. Rook h4. It's a very strange move, but you can see the eval bar is not too offended by it. And you actually have this strange plan of like bishop h6 just right away with c3, queen d2, rook e1. So I don't know if this is her plan, but from what I do know about Miley, she's in the US at a school right now, university for chess, and she is actively playing and studying. So wouldn't be surprised if we see a line like that. And Lazovic perhaps smartly steering clear of more explored waters with this, because I've definitely seen that before, and instead goes e5. So inviting all the complications here. This looks like a hot mess for Miley to calculate. What needs to happen for us to win? We need to get to 8.5 points. It's 4-4 right now. And there are 8 remaining points up for grabs. We just need to get the lion's share of them. Hey, what's up, Tim Cannon? Good to see you, buddy. Let's check in back with some of our matches that started first. Magnus has the e5 square. Probably bishop d7 to e8. Nice to stay on that diagonal, but you want to be out of the way so that d6 is covered. Also could put the bishop here, but I definitely feel it's supposed to be on that diagonal. Magnus has played a5. He wants to see this move. Of course, white's not even dreaming of playing that. You know, knight e5, and you're all over the dark squares here. So that's just not an option. Rook ac1 played. Takes, and I'm going to say probably pawn takes this way. Don't really want to allow that, I think. Jordan and Mamedov. I like Jordan's position here. I think. I like what he's doing. He's got the 2 bishops. He's got f6 to blunt the bishop on c3. I know this isn't like a, massive advantage or anything, but personally, I like what Jordan's done with the place. He's really spruced the place up. Even if you play a move like bishop here, and there's some trade or something, you can even trade queens, I don't think he's going to be that much worse. And f6 provides a nice avenue for your king to join any endgame extremely quickly. And with that pawn all the way up on a5, could be a target down the line. Jordan also keeping pace on the clock with Mamedov here. Got the bishop pair. I think Jordan's handling this pretty well thus far. Yeah, I think he wants to play like, rook d8, queen back to f7, those kind of things. And most of the squares that the knight could move to are kind of covered by the bishop, which is why having the bishop 2 squares away from the knight like that is almost always a good spot to be. Okay, I'm going to jump to this board because I think this one is crucial. I think this board, you feel like it's a total coin flip. Razvan, he's got bishop c5 in there. Bishop h3, rook e1 coming in. White's position looks solid enough. some of these moves. The queen here is not that dangerous because, you know, there's no black piece that's joining the queen to turn this into a checkmate attack. So the queen is just kind of sitting there for the moment. Now that this has happened, I think we're going to see rook takes. Knight takes. I do not think that's what black wants. But if rook takes, I'm trying to think what comes next. If rook c5, black wants to go b6, lock this up, and then switch the pieces to the middle. Right now, the rook is defending that pawn. Wait, knight takes. I mean, I think it's totally fine. To be honest, I definitely expected rook takes. I think black is absolutely about to play b6. Unless I'm missing something, but basically getting, I mean, queen takes f7, I just realized. Hang on a sec. Let's not blunder. I mean, let's blunder, but let's not blunder him on. Queen f3. You really want to play b6 because as soon as you do, your position's golden. And meanwhile, knight f5, there's always queen f5. Sorry, knight g5, there's queen f5, so it's not that concerning. But if you do the tactic in the other way, it actually exists. Okay, let's be careful. My Lee's position. Oh, when I see that pawn on f4, boy, do I get scared. I tell you. It's not that the position is bad for white. It's just, hey, black's launching an attack. I think Lazovic is getting the position he wants. Just a double-edged position, attack on both sides. We've seen this move b5 played. He says, okay, if takes, maybe black takes back like this, and now there's just no threats for a long time. You can go here, but that's nothing. Black's not concerned. This is solid. And they can continue launching the attack. Kind of scary. If you don't take it and go, let's say knight here, okay, great. You're on these squares here, but still, after this, that's the end of the attack, right? a6, solid here, and black can focus on this side. So this is what he's trying to get. If white wants to use that c-file, you're going to have a few moves before that's possible. And the classic bishop h3 looks like it's about to happen. I mean, it's just annoying to be attacked, plain and simple. It's not that black holds a significant advantage here, but white usually has an edge in these King's Indian style positions, according to the engine. If the engine says it's closer to equal, that usually means that black's kind of preferred. So Miley just has a defensive task at hand, but guess what? She's been playing well. Just because you're getting attacked, you can't always overreact and say, okay, I'm worse, you know, gonna get mated here. It's not how it works, but it's how it goes a lot of the time, which is why I bring it up. It's a very legitimate concern. But she's watching that knight with the queen from the other side of the board. Rook c1 for sure is the intention. I would not be surprised to even see black just double the rooks here. That looks easy enough, because then you're really threatening this. After bishop here, I'm starting to wonder about moves like that with, you know, d6 check afterwards. And am I getting the... Is it in the air here? Like, just curious. I don't know if we're supposed to use the knight, but like, let's say we take, you know, black does something. Takes, right? To take with something. I'm just wondering about this. And then this. Because this move is happening and it's quite scary. But I wasn't sure. I guess this move is the nasty one. F3. Yeah, I gotta calculate those lines to the end. d6 check. Bishop here. I was looking at bishop h3. A weird move. This is a little crazy. Bishop h1. Miley keeping it simple, saying, okay, not going to trade with you on h3 and instead keep this defended. I'm now saying, look, queen g4, rook's doubling, and like sacks on g3. Personally, I find that a little concerning. It looks bothersome. So Miley has, in my opinion, a difficult task ahead. I just think it's a classic King's Indian style attack. It looks troublesome to meet. Let's see what's happening in Magnus's game. He's up. Takes and knight d4. Yeah, I was going to say he's up the exchange. Obviously, his opponent has done this on purpose. Sacked on d4. There's no way he could tolerate this position. The queen is quite bad on b8, which is why, you know, this is not a sizable advantage for black just yet. b6 or something, the rook's coming in. There's also g4 and h5 to rip open the king. But essentially, if Magnus, I think, kind of coordinates his queen over to e7, I think he has close to a winning advantage. So I think this position and this game is all about coordination. If Magnus can basically transport his queen here, I think he should be doing quite well. So good looking for Magnus here with the black pieces. Hey, he does go g4, by the way. This was the scary move that I was concerned about. Takes with h5 coming. So credit to Shimanov. He's just going for it. He is going for the throat here. I would not be super comfortable here. There's still a lot of work to do. Queen here and queen c3 comes to mind. That forces an exchange of queens. But, you know, in doing so, you also lose a lot of pawns. And is it really winning here? I'm not sure. You can try to go for this. So that, I'm just saying that's a bailout option that I can see. And honestly, I'd be pretty close to taking that bailout option. Let's see what Magnus does, but I'm just saying that that's on my mind. Okay, it looks like a draw here. Yeah, due to knight d6 potential and rook d8 after. Okay, a draw agreed between Jordan and Mamedov. Jordan had the black pieces. Mamedov's a strong GM. I imagine Jordan will be pushing with the white pieces in the final round a little more. He's had a pretty good day so far. Razvan against Alexander Kostenyuk. Razvan with the white pieces. This is a super important game. Meanwhile, Miley's position looks really tough. So I think Miley is in trouble. This game is really important. And Magnus's game is absolutely not decided at all. He is better there, but still anything can happen. Almost thinking maybe h4 here. h4 doesn't look crazy. f5 though. You start getting concerned for like this knight having squares. h4 f5. I guess we'll just take these cans out. The players usually leave after a result. So it looks like the queen is snaking her way in here. Rook e3, queen a1. Like I said, Magnus's position is still extremely up in the air. I feel like queen. Oh, I was gonna say queen c3, but queen d8 keeps this defended, which is obviously the smart choice. Takes, and then takes. I don't think was good enough. Magnus a bit better in that position. Queen h4 takes, and bishop e6 is concerning. Yeah, maybe just queen e7, which is kind of what I said earlier, that if Magnus gets his queen e7, I think the position is kind of okay again. Eval Bar says, what are you talking about? Eval Bar says no. I'm gonna bring Magnus's cam up for this game. It's gonna ruin the cams for the next round probably, but we'll fix it later. We'll fix it later. I mean, this move happening, check king g7 for the moment. But what I'm realizing is this has this move coming in. Ooh, here, check, and king here. 25 seconds for Shimanov. My Lee has lost on board 4. I think we saw that one coming. That attack looked too difficult to get out of. Rook is needed here. And I think queen g5 is the absolute best move by Shimanov. It is so tricky to play with these rooks. You're up material, but you know, what the heck is happening? So obviously this game really important. Just want to see what's going on this board. F5 hanging. But the pieces are so well coordinated here for black. Definitely, oh, and I see 16 seconds. So definitely an advantage for Kostenyuk. Rook c4 played going after this pawn. Magnus trying to pull some magic here. Rook h1 coming. Man, this is scary. This is really scary. Rook h1. Barely hanging together here. King e7. Rook c1. Oh my god. King d8 do you have to do? That's nuts. King e8. Oh my god. This does not look like fun for Magnus. Queen g6? Queen h5 looks annoying. I mean, I don't know how to defend this. This looks ridiculous. Oh, there's queen c8. Oh, this definitely looks bad. This definitely looks bad. I don't think there's anything you could do there. Nothing to do there. I mean, this position just, it is getting bad. Like I said, I was scared. I didn't like the position. I'm going to get back to that game. We'll stick with the live action. Razvan. Definitely, you look at Razvan and you say, hey man, we need a half point from you right now. For sure. But boards 3 and 4, certainly not going our way. Oh my god. That position from Magnus's board, it's just, I mean, way too tough to handle. Rook c2 incoming. You have to feel this is this, no, knight c3? Knight b3 is just happening. Isn't this just lost? But you leave the king on e3 here, strangely. Yeah, rook takes f2 is an amazing move. Really good Good find by Kosteniuk. Knight d3 is check. Very, very impressive move there. Got to give it to Alexandra. Classy game, classy finish. I mean, yeah, this was just well played by Kosteniuk. It was actually well played by... let's take the cams off. People are going to drop out of the call, mess the cams up. This was really well played by Kosteniuk. Let me update the score first of all. A sad score update as it's 1, 2, 3.5 points against us, which means we only improve our score to 4.5. Meanwhile, we're facing a 7.5 on the other team, which means we can't give up a single point. We can give up a half point, but we can't give up a full point in the final round. Boy, this lineup is strong. A tough round 3. But you know what? With our lineups, I said this before. I'll say it again. With our lineups, I think that we need the early points. Truly. The Yogis flipped it around on us, but obviously that comes down to just gameplay. Playing better during the match. But in terms of the strategy, if you have a lineup like ours that has, you know, a 3 GM lineup and then a board 4 who's almost expected to lose most of her games, a half point or full point would be amazing from board 4 with our lineup. When you have lineups like that, you really should be getting off to a good start, because a lineup like what our opponents have, 4 balance boards, when it comes down to round 4 and board 1 is playing 1, 2 against 2, 3 against 3, 4 against 4, the expected results for the opponents are much higher because our board 4 is basically expected to lose. So what I'm saying is that if you keep tying the rounds going into the final round, your chances should be the worst technically. That's what I feel. So already going like 2-2 in the first 2 rounds, that already meant I think that the Wizards were sort of executing their game plan better in terms of where they get their points from. But of course, things can always change when it comes to the positions on the board. But just saying, in terms of a macro strategy, I think that's more or less true. Okay, so queen here. I also thought of queen e7, but then queen h6, bishop e6, and queen g5. This was really well played by white. It's also a position where it's like, how do you defend as white? Or sorry, as black. Because white is very well defended. The king is safe. Rook c1 coming in here. There's b6. I mean, to me, this position just looks winning. Like, straight up. This just looks like a winning position. Like, in this position, I'm thinking of rook f8. Is this a move? The position is so sketchy that it's starting to make me calculate all the absolutely insane moves. I don't think rook f8 is good here, but king e8, b6. It's like, how the hell are you supposed to defend this, man? Rook c7's coming. This looks brutal. And after rook c7, it's like, great. Black has a chance again. But what's the chance? This rook can never do anything. It's pretty much chilling there. Magnus takes the opportunity to make a threat finally. And white had to find the move here. And what can you say? He did. He did. Bishop f7. That's the move. Not much to do. You know, Magnus, you literally can't win every single game in the PCL, but it's pretty damn close. This just got out of hand. I think Shimanov played this position down the exchange super well. I'm really impressed. Queen f4 takes queen h6 first to play bishop e6, right? Not playing bishop e6 and allowing king g7. And then queen g5. If queen here, then king there. Start to understand. I just think that Shimanov played this really well. I gotta give it to him. Rook h1, check, rook c1. Magnus was put under immense pressure, and obviously in the end it was enough. We had a draw on board 2. This game between Razvan and Kosteniuk, it looked like Kosteniuk just slowly got these pawns all defended. And then White's the one sitting there with weaknesses, right? Double pawns, isolated a3 pawn. It was just a slow positional game. Queen d6, right? Simple stuff. And then e4, another classy move by Kosteniuk. I mean, this was just well played. Rook takes f2. Super good move there. The winning move, in fact. I mean, this game is just really, really good from Kosteniuk. There's not much to say here. Razvan didn't even make that many mistakes. And then my Lee's game, we didn't see the moves, but I could have told you that this position would have appeared on the board, you know? There's just no preventing this, unfortunately. It's too tough. Too tough. Yeah. Basically, b5 stopped the entire queenside play, and unfortunately, my Lee didn't get anything going. My Lee has actually had her best games with the black pieces. With the white pieces, sometimes she does get crushed pretty convincingly. But with the black pieces, in both matches that I've seen from her, she's done much better. Okay, so what does that mean? Plain and simple. It means that in the final round, we have, let's say, 3.5 points needed minimum. If we don't get 3.5 points, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. Right? How many points do the Wizards have? 7.5. So they can give up, let's say we can give up a half a point. That brings them to 8. But as soon as we give up a full point, we lose the match. So 3 points out of 4 in the final round is still not good enough for us. We essentially need to match the score that they handed to us in this round or do better. So 3.5 or 4 points are needed in the final round, which means, if you guys are paying attention, it means that Miley needs to score a result against Kosteniuk with the black pieces. All right? So that's the situation we're in going into the final round. Obviously, points need to be scored on all boards, but I bring up board 4 because it's the biggest rating mismatch. Magnus needs to win. Jordan needs to win. Razvan needs to win. And all of those matchups are against other GMs. And then on top of that, Miley also needs to either draw or win against Kosteniuk in the board 4 matchup. The winner of this match between the Wizards and the Chessbrahs moves on to the playoffs. That's what's at stake here. The loser is not eliminated, no matter who loses the match. The loser's not eliminated, but it means that whoever loses the match plays again next week. And that match next week could not be more intense because the loser of that match is eliminated from the PCL and the winner of that match qualifies. So essentially, the winner qualifies here, but if we lose, we have another chance to play the exact same type of match. Today, we can't get eliminated, but next week we can. Yeah, you could say the Miley loss on time hurts us right now. It definitely does. Hey, I'd rather have the score be 6.5 to 5.5. But that being said, a 3.5 to half round is the bigger issue here. That hurts more. They just have all GMs on the lineup. We're gonna need a big push here. Next round should be getting underway fairly shortly. Chelsea Morgana, Jumpy Chest, Chicken Pants, Lancelor, thanks for the 100 bits in the collection plate. Dubrojovic, good to see you again, man. 15-month resub. Smassassin for 2 years. Jimmy the Rabbit for 66 months. Thank you, Jimmy. Big resub from Jimmy the Rabbit. Only 3 more months, Jimmy. You can make it. And Ubuntu for half a century. 50-month resub with Prime. Thanks, Ubuntu. Let's get these cameras back up. Games have started. All right. Here we go. Board 2 started as well. So we have the white pieces on the top 2 boards and the black pieces on the lower boards. I think, objectively speaking, I'd rather have that. Looks like the other match just began. Razvan against Denis Lazovic. I think this is Theory. A lesser known line. I've seen some positions where black long castles, but it looks like with b6, that's not his intention. Already white's position is pretty fun. You know, kind of coaxing g6 and b6 out. White has this massive pawn, you know, just phalanx in the center. Phalanx? Phalanx sounds better. Rook g1. I think g6. Like, you don't love playing that move. Like, it doesn't feel good to play g6. I'll tell you that. Personally, I play this line as white. I already kind of like the opening for white, but it's super imbalanced, and I think that's exactly what Razvan needs. So can't complain about the type of position that he's got here. Black pieces for my Lee. The c3 Sicilian. God damn, it's gonna haunt me. That darn c3 Sicilian. Bishop here, bishop d6. Bishop b5, and then either castle or bishop d7. Look like they're the moves. Yeah, I think just bishop d6 and castle. All right. Well, Magnus is playing super fast. He's got that, you know, head in hands tilt look, which I am so familiar with. Guess what? When he's on tilt, he's still playing at like 2800, so seems good enough. Holy Psychopath, if we lose today, do we still play next week? Well, actually, if we lose today, that's the only way we play next week. So this is a format where you don't actually want to hope your team plays next week, necessarily. If you have a losing record, you do, but if you have a winning record, you want to just qualify to the playoffs. Okay, what's the action here? I see Jordan and Shimanov in a bit of an interesting position. Totally sacked a pawn. In fact, white is down 2 pawns here. But he's down 2 pawns. He's probably playing a position that he's at least looked at with the engine before. And there's a hanging pawn on h5. Knight's coming into the middle. Jordan is a very loose player, loves to attack, super aggressive. I think this suits his style, and it also suits the style of the Chessbrahs needing a shit ton of points. It suits that style. Why is Magnus tilted? I mean, I'm just guessing. Who knows? I don't know how he handles losses, but hey, he just lost a game. Must be a little annoyed, certainly frustrated with himself. I think Jordan is playing a really, really good game so far. So Magnus position, slow, grindy. It is probably around equal, but there's lots to play for still. Razvan's game. This one is super important. Wow, f4. This looks like a theme of this line. f4 takes an e4. It's almost like a King's Gambit or something. Yeah, I mean, this looks like a tremendous position for white. If you trade the queens off, then the center just reigns supreme, right? The knights are kind of hopeless. But it's difficult to avoid that. That one should be easy enough to spot. There's g7 hanging. I think he wants to take a2. Credit to Razvan for keeping it imbalanced here. This position definitely scares me the most so far. Let's have a look at my Lee's position. What's going on here? Bishop here, bishop g5. I think in this position, you're supposed to castle. And just say, like, okay, right? This is not that scary. But instead, I didn't like my Lee's decision to take, because now the queen takes. Now you definitely can't castle, right? Off the table. There's many ways for bad things to happen. So now bishop goes back to e7, but now bishop f4, and we're in big trouble here. There's no other way to put it. Kosteniuk with the white pieces against Miley, and just the way the opening has transpired, bishop back to f4, this position looks strong for white. Very strong. Every other game has more chances than this one, I would say, so far. Trying to think of moves because bishop d6 looks like it loses. Knight e5 is a funny discovered check. Blocks the communication between a queen and bishop, and you lose a piece. So if you can't play bishop d6, I mean, you have to attack this bishop, right? And Miley goes knight h5. I mean, sensible when you think, okay, the bishop goes back, I'm going to take it. What if we take here? Because now, I think the issue is that knight. It's going to be knight takes, queen check, and takes. I think that's it. That's the problem. Yeah. There's only so much you can do. I mean, I think this one is over, and I think the match may end decisively because of that. I mean, it's an opening disaster, down a piece. Miley's chance was definitely against Shimanov. Against 4 GMs, your expected score is probably between 0 and 0.5. Playing up 300 points every game. But Miley had a chance at 1 point. Unfortunately, you're not going to get too many chances. I don't think you're going to get too many chances. Right? You're pretty much going to have one, maybe two, but pretty much one shot in some of these games to grab points. And if you miss that opportunity, it's probably not going to be there for you again. Razvan's position doesn't look good. Really good stuff for white here. I mean, it's just so solid. Bishops are nasty. The knights have no squares, no outposts. So I think we can safely say the match is over. This position looks great. Miley's position is lost. I still love Jordan's position, but I'm just not sure if it's going to matter for the match, you know? The players, by the way, don't know the results of the other games. They also know Miley is a clear underdog in this final matchup, so they're probably going in with reasonable expectations. Magnus has a big advantage on the clock in this final game. I like the positions on the first two boards, but the positions on the last two boards do not look good. Time taken for Ralph. If I had to guess, I think Jordan and Magnus are probably going to pull out results from their games. That king is sprinting. I mean, at this point, you can just take and take. And I think the position is falling apart for black. The funny thing is, you can start pushing your pawn, but I feel like white's got the center control. Here comes h5. The reason he brought that knight back, I realized, is he didn't want to fall into rook takes and maybe queen b1. He's up a lot of time. Very tough to defend for black. This just looks better and better. Razvan's position. Very, very weird. He's fighting here. He has an a-pawn, right? That's kind of a trump card. So this position looks messy. Top two boards look good. Actually, I wouldn't say Magnus's position looks overwhelmingly good. It's just he has a time advantage in the white pieces and more space. But Miley's game, unfortunately, I think is just going to decide things. Unless she can, I mean, talk about miracles, that would be the miracle. I mean, Razvan is battling here. Got a rook down there. That king is just kind of like, this almost reminds me of like Chinese chess. You have the king in the middle with like the admirals. Is that what they're called? Around him. It really feels like, you know, you're kind of stuck in this box here. So I like what Razvan's done. Maybe it's time to start sending the A-pawn. I think there's like kind of a threat of knight takes here, but not really because there's queen f8. Honestly, I didn't really mind moving that pawn there. Knight takes, I just realized. I mean, let me just make it white's turn. This exists, right? But then there's this. Tricky. Not to mention maybe queen d3. Nice and simple. Just force mate. So a little bit more poison to this move than I had initially given him credit for. Queen c4 and knight d4 both appear to be threats. Queen c4 less so because I guess there's queen e2, but few ideas. White wants to go f4 and king f2. That really gets the pieces out, unfortunately. Oof. He's absolutely crushing here is Jordan. I mean, Jordan had a great day, right? Brought Jordan on. I think we have a lot of people on our team. By the way, knight f5 is nasty. We brought Jordan on. Just like so many players, he's having a tremendous day. By the way, is there queen takes here? I know there's rook takes. Is there queen takes? No. Takes, there's a5. But rook takes. The queen could be hanging here effectively because it's checkmate in one. But yeah, Jordan is going to win his game for sure. I think the guy had an incredible debut. Didn't lose a game. He's going to be 3.5 out of 4. Very, very solid performance by Jordan. Yeah, nice game by Jordan. He absolutely crushed his opponent. I'm going to give that one a KO. That was sick. We got to take our KOs for the individual games because I'm not sure I'm going to be KOing the final result. So we got to take them where we can get them this match. Now, it was a nice game. It was a nice game. Yeah, Magnus looks like only so much you can do here. He's being as tricky as possible. His opponent has 20 seconds. Magnus has just been playing at like, you know, rapid pace. Computer says draw, but guess what? 14 seconds might say otherwise. Should probably be drawn. Yeah, I think this is going to be a draw anyway, but we all know that the result of the match is determined from this board anyway. Credit to Miley for fighting on, but she knows she's lost. And this result alone would be too much. And it looks like the final round is kind of going pretty fair all around. Like, this is now just an unassailable fortress for Denis Lazovic. So this board looks like we're not even going to get a result on Magnus's board. I mean, he's probably closer to a draw. But it looks like the expected result for this final round is actually going to be us even losing the round. There we go. Take that cam off. Although I can probably remove the other one as well in a sec. Magnus is being a bit tricky here, right? King G5, maybe he's going to go... You still have this pawn. If you take, then rook here. That's the annoying part. Rook A3. King here, A6. But it's tough to win that after King A6, right? Man, Magnus is a... He's making this so damn tricky. And after a pawn here, he wants to play King A7. Now Magnus, I guess, is playing King G5. What the hell is going on in this endgame? My brain is telling me that this should be an easy draw for black. But how? I literally don't see it. This is like magic. Well, this is winning for sure. Not even close, right? You just take the pawn and... G5 and rook F4. I would have played rook F4 and just cut the king off. I don't know about this, but it looks like it's going to get the job done. And this is just basic Lucina, I think. Got a check coming next. Wow. That's super impressive. That is super impressive. I don't know how the hell Magnus won that game. What the flying hell did we just witness? Well, there you go. Little Magnus magic in the final round. The cams are all messed up because everyone's leaving the calls, so I'll just leave. Actually, I can keep this one on because his game is still going. Here we go. Miley lost the game, so officially I can say we've lost the match. That much we know for sure, but we did kind of know that from earlier on. Not much could have changed it. Oh, and even this cam is going to go down. Yeah, everyone's leaving the call. It's always tough in Zoom calls because, like, when people leave, the cams get all messed up. This is like amazing. Basically, White's treating the second rank like it's their first rank. We'll watch this final game. Razvan, I suppose we should flip the board as well. I wish we could have the cam, but I think they're getting a little messed up. 20 seconds left each. Round score right now is 2-1 for us, but it looks like it'll either be 2.5 or 2-2. Things getting super dicey here. Queen e6. So if you take this rook. White just missed that. He thought it was queen h3, rook h2, and f1 was covered. Well, this will be kind of a ridiculous, twist of fate to have the boys win 3-1. It's like torturous, right? And I think it's gonna happen. 93? No, can't go 93 at b5, I guess. d5. Yeah, I don't know, b5 probably needed to happen. I guess this move was available in that line, which is probably what concerned him. That's why he played queen back to e6, I just realized. Didn't see that at all. Oh no, hang on, the pawn was on d4 there. Yeah, we could have played b5. Yeah, okay. I don't think it's going to be a 3. I don't think it's going to be 3-1 anymore. I think it's going to be a 2-2 round, which means it will be, what, 6.5? 9.5, 6.5? If I have it right? I think that's 9.5, 6.5. This result and that blunder would have meant a lot more, and we would have been all flipping out if the match was within reach, but it wasn't anyway, so I suppose it's not as big of a deal. It's almost better that it wasn't 3-1, because then, you know, that would have been real rough, right? Losing 8.5, 7.5. Yeah, very, very tough, very tough. Very tough. So, the match is done. 9.5, 6.5. I think I've got that score right. I think that the lineups really give you an idea of what results are needed by the team in certain rounds. So I think when you have a lineup that's more top heavy, you should be scoring early points. And if you tie those rounds, I think it benefits the other team. That's what I've learned from sort of like commentating and watching these matches. So when we put a lineup like this with Miley on board 4, we have to be getting out to a lead. If we're not out to a lead halfway through the match, then, I mean, we're putting ourselves in a position where we're obviously the underdogs, because there's going to be a round 4 matchup where Miley's playing a GM, right? And everyone else has tough games, because their lineup is made so that, you know, they have tough matchups where they might be a little bit of an underdog. But of course, every GM can give every GM a run for their money. Our lineup is like, Miley might get a point, and in this match, she absolutely should have. So I really can't say that she had a terrible day, because once again, she's in the lineup to maybe get a point, a half point, and she put herself in position to do so. Just flagged in a completely winning position. So that's just a little unfortunate, but you know, if she's able to get a half point or a point, that's fantastic. Kosteniuk, her expected score is probably like a point or a point and a half. Miley's might be 0 or 0.5. So I will say, when we play these matches and we get off to an even start or even a bad start, I know that it's going to be like a really tough match. I know it's going to be a tough match. So unfortunately, we lose this one, which means, for everybody wondering, we will be playing next week. Our record in the Pro Chess League is now 2 wins, 2 losses. And we will 100% be playing next week. And next week is the most important match, honestly. Because if we win, we go to the playoffs in PCL. If we lose, we are knocked out of the Pro Chess League. Just KO'd. I don't know when the match next week will be or who it's against, because there are still many other PCL matches this week to happen. But we'll be back next week. we will be back next week playing another match for our life in the Pro Chess League. And damn, I want to win that thing. I know everyone does. We need to stay in this, right? We want to keep hosting these watch parties, keep following the matches. And that'll only happen with a win next week. So now it's very clear. Must-win match next week, plain and simple. Maskin isn't in the chat. Oh, I don't think Magnus is apologizing. Buddy, we literally can't lean on you to win every single game, every single week, every single match. We'd like to, though. So if you could do that, that'd be great. But one loss here and there is going to happen. I'm still impressed by the win in the final round here against Mamedov. Like, these endgame wins come out of nowhere. But Magnus didn't have his best day, I guess you could say. What, 3 out of 4? Not his best day. Jordan had a great day, but guess what? I explained it already, guys. If our boards 3 and 4 are not scoring points, what can we do, right? What can we do? You can't have half your team not putting points on the board. GG's to the Chess Wizards. 4 GMs in the lineup, super strong. That's just really tough to deal with. I think they have one of the strongest teams in the league. Personally, I think that team is extremely scary. They're one of the only teams with all GMs that they can put in a lineup. I think that's just nasty. It can be viewed as a W if you just want to see more matches. I guess you could say that. But we'd rather be in the playoffs rather than have our players have to play every week, tired out, get stressed. So, point is, PCL, we're not out yet. We're not in yet. Those two statements are true. It all comes down to next week's matchup. When I know the pairing and the lineup, of course, I'll update all our commands in the chat, like !PCL, !roster, all that. But for now, I don't know anything. Depends on the other matches. And we'll see what lineup we can put forward. Remember, a lot of people ask, hey, how come you didn't put this person in the lineup? How come you didn't do this? How come you didn't do that? I think the #1 decider for Pro Chess League lineups is availability. Not everyone is around to play on every single day. And then the lineups have to work in terms of average rating. Not everything is possible. So, for those wondering how come this didn't happen, how come that didn't happen, just bear in mind, it's a tough job making these lineups and working with everyone's schedules. And it's not as simple as, hey, they're on the roster, make them play. There are a lot of factors that go into making a lineup. And Razvan has had an amazing Pro Chess League for us. One of our better performing players. He didn't have a great match today, but he definitely has had a good PCL so far. Same with Mai Li. She took a win against the GM last week. She should have had one this week. If she had won that game, I think we'd all be singing a different tune, like, you know, genius lineup, go Mai Li. So I still stand by, I think Mai Li in the lineup is a good thing. Razvan, they've both been playing super well so far. You're not going to have a good result every single week. Or at least you can't expect to. Sometimes you do. But we are on a 60-second delay. Damned if I hate that. So I'm going to be turning the stream off and booting it back up. I just can't stand this delay. I feel like the shackles are on. So I will be right back, guys. Give me like 5-10 minutes. This will basically be like me taking a break, except I'm going to end the stream and restart it to take this damn delay off. So I'll see you guys in a little bit. Just refresh the stream right after it ends. It should boot up. Should boot up again. And let's get a stream on today. It's gonna be a little the spirit's a little dampened after that result, but I will see you guys soon. We lost the match. Unfortunate. But let's continue to stream.